You might have wondered where I've been. Or not. Your patience might be wearing thin. But Nexus VR, I did begin, for which today we shall be modelling.
Hey! He's very good, isn't he? That's not what I meant by modelling.
What?
We're meant to be modelling a lab.
Oh.
No, an alchemist's lab.
Oh.
In the last video, I showed you a paper model of the room I wanted to create virtually. To do this, the process I will follow is to create the models in Blender and then transfer them into Unity by exporting them as FBX files. Once they're in Unity, we'll apply some basic materials. So, as an example, I have modelled the main room, and whilst I am unlikely to appear on Architectural Digest anytime soon, it will do for now. The model is then exported as an FBX and then simply dragged into Unity. I create a basic stone texture, which I apply to the walls, and then add a wood texture to the beams. Now, we just have to fill the room with other objects in the same way.
It's important to note that at this point we're not looking for complete realism. The room is going to go over several iterations as the puzzle and the story evolves. However, what we're doing is setting the scene and getting some objects together with which we can interact for our first puzzle. There are still many objects that have to be modelled. However, instead of creating the model in Blender and then importing into Unity, I thought it would be a lot more fun to show you the creation of the first Alchemist laboratory through the medium of song.
To start, we'll add a table, complete with open book. There's a hardened leather apron hanging from a clothing hook. Upon the shelves there's acid, a titration flask, a bowl. And in the furnace coal and coal and coal and coal and coal. And in the furnace coal and coal and coal and coal and coal. There's pots and bellows and hammers, a workbench and a stool, a rather misplaced looking Windsor chair and lamps upon the wall, a pestle and a mortar nestled next to animal hide. But that's not the only weird thing in this room, there's an anvil just beside. But that's not the only weird thing in this room, there's an anvil just beside. Some barrels and a ladder to help reach mysterious tomes, a lamp to help inspect things as if you're Sherlock Holmes, more test tubes and a jug in case you need a drink. There's a chamber pot and an hourglass and an old Victorian sink. There's a chamber pot and an hourglass and an old Victorian sink. Some weighing scale, strange minerals, a chest, a quill, a cage, a sieve for gold, elixirs, they're really quite the rage. A cauldron, tongs, some ampules, and in the corner a broom. Now put this together and we finally have our very first alchemist's room. Now put this together and we finally have our very first alchemist's room. Now put this together and we finally have our first alchemist's room. Alchemist room.
Next up, we're going to be creating our first puzzle. If you're interested in seeing that, please click this video here.